it wasn't for a friend of his.
The Missouri House wrapped up the last week of February as several proposals continue to move through the legislative process. The House Committee on Emerging Issues discussed legislation legalizing marijuana for specific uses. House Bill 800 establishes the Missouri Compassionate Care Act. The legislation creates a process for the state to license medical marijuana centers and establishes a set of rules for the growing and dispensing of the product. Following the hearing, no further action was taken on the legislation.
But in our language,
lawmakers put their stamp of approval on legislation creating a pathway for students in failing schools to get a quality education. House Bill 42 aims to help students in unaccredited school districts find a seat in an accredited school.
I have tried to keep this bill focused on the transfer issue and keeping the students in the unaccredited districts in a quality school as close to home as possible.
The legislation also establishes rules in regards to how much tuition the unaccredited school must send with the student to their new school. Lawmakers approved the education bill with more than 110 yes votes. It now heads to the Missouri Senate for consideration.
Why do I stand in favor of this bill with those facts?
Members of the Missouri House passed legislation creating a prescription drug database. House Bill 130 establishes the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program Act. The legislation requires the state to create a database to track the prescribing and dispensing of all Schedule II through Schedule IV controlled substances.
We have a heroin epidemic in this state. It's in my district. It's young, it's old, it's rural, it's urban, it's rich and poor. No family is immune, and passing this database would help stop that.
Lawmakers passed the drug database legislation with more than 100 yes votes and sent it to the Missouri Senate for consideration.
I fear no evil.
Lawmakers ended the week on a somber note as the Missouri House held a prayer service for State Auditor Tom Schweik. House Chaplain Monsignor Robert Kerwicki conducted the service. Several of the statewide elected officials joined lawmakers and their staff in the House chamber for a moment of prayer for Auditor Schweik and his family. Reporting from the state capitol, I'm Jonathan Lorenz.